In this video, we'll be showing you how to debug and avoid a NGINX 502 bad gateway error when working with a Docker container as the proxied web server. The configuration we're using here is Ubuntu with the latest LTS release running on a DigitalOcean droplet. Docker is installed to host our backend web server as a container, and NGINX is installed with minimal configuration to communicate with the Docker container. Now, when you're running into the 502 bad gateway, that indicates that NGINX isn't able to connect to whatever upstream host that you're trying to connect to. And that can happen for a variety of reasons. When you're running Docker container on this NGINX web server directly, like we are here, it typically means that NGINX isn't able to connect with the actual Docker container. So the first thing we'll want to do is go and make sure that our container is up and running. We'll do that with a Docker PS. And of course, we have no images running here. So we'll go and check to see what should have been run or what was running in the past with the -a. And you can see here we have a Hello World test website, and it is named web test. So let's go ahead and start that. Docker start test. Now we should see that it is started. It is up and running. Health is starting. That should take a minute to actually start up. Okay. So now that it is started, we want to go and look at our website and see if it will actually refresh. No, we are still getting 502 bad gateway. So next we will go and verify the NGINX configuration. So we will do that by using the -t command for NGINX, which will go through and verify the actual config to make sure there's no errors in loading the config. And it does look like we are okay here. So next we'll go and actually look at our configuration file to see where NGINX is looking for our container, or how to connect to our container. And we'll do that by looking at the default site configuration, which is just an enable site /default. Yours may be different depending if you have modified this at all, but again, this is just a clean install of NGINX. So the first thing we will want to look for is the location directive for the root directory, which is what we're looking at here. And we will try to find the proxy pass option. So it looks like we are trying to proxy pass to docker-web. Now typically this would be an IP address or another remote server. However, we know that when we're doing a proxy pass, it is typical to use an upstream server, and there might be an upstream server directive with Docker Web. So we'll go through and look through our config for that. Yes, so up on the top here, we have a upstream server set as Docker Web. And we can see that the server that it's looking for is 127.0.0.1, which would be equivalent to localhost. This could also be 0.0.0.0, which would be localhost, or this could be some remote server. And then our port that we're looking for. So let's go. So we know this is localhost, which is good, which means it will go back to our Docker container if it is listening on port 8000. So let's go back and check our Docker configuration. So we will do that with the Docker PS again. And we will look to see what ports we are going to be running on. Okay, because you can see here that is running on 0.0, which is localhost, which is fine. And we are proxying port 8080 into the container of port 8000. So this right here is most likely our problem. We need to be connecting to port 8080, not port 8000. And we could verify that by doing a curl to our local host on port 8080. Yes, so there is our web server up and running as a Docker container on port 8080. But if we looked on port 8000, we will get a connection refused. And this is what the NGINX proxy pass is currently doing. So we're going to need to modify our configuration there. And so again, we'll just go look at the default config, and we will update this to be port 8080, which is what our Docker container is listening on. We'll save it. And now we will need to verify the config yet again. Excellent. And then we will need to restart our NGINX service to get the new configuration. And now our website should load. And there we go. We have our NGINX server actually passing to our Docker container. So now we could see that if we go ahead and stop our Docker container, verify that it's stopped, that if we refresh our website, we should hit our 502 bad gateway again, which is perfect. Now we know for a fact that we are passing to this specific container. If we refresh again, there we have it. So the way that you could debug these type of issues is by first starting at the destination of where you expect NGINX to be sending it to, making sure that is fine without NGINX, and then going through and looking at the NGINX config to debug any specifics there about how to communicate with your Docker container. Okay, thank you.